The new farm bill passed by Congress this week legalizes hemp production nationwide and should be a boon to Colorado farmers. 3 Colorado Republican congressmen voted against the bill, all citing the removal of work requirements from the SNAP program as the reason for their vote. Farm bill is a big bill, I can understand that point. But David, let me ask you, is this a big boon to hemp farmers in Colorado as it's been advertised?
Yes, I think so, and this particularly relevant to use of hemp, I think, to produce CBD oil, which has lots of medical uses. And this is an example of something that never should have been a federal issue anyway. States are perfectly capable of making their own laws on that. You can go back to the Marijuana Tax Act of 1938 for how excessive federal power has retarded innovation and harmed the health of the American people. Representative Kaufman was right to call it a bill that was 20% farm bill, 80% food stamp bill, and I don't agree with taking away all work requirements for people who are getting welfare. The bill said, of course, not everybody can find a job immediately, but they had other alternatives. You could be in a job training program, or you could even be a volunteer for some local nonprofit. But if you're getting money out of other people's pocket, you ought to be doing some work if you're able-bodied and don't have small children at home and are capable. One thing that hasn't gotten enough coverage is Representative Tipton from the West Slope got a good amendment in there which will speed federal approvals for restoration of habitat for sage grouse and mule deer.
Eric, I guess taking that as a segue from David, you have a fellow congressman in Colorado adding a decent amendment, and Mike Hoffman in a lame duck situation, not needing to worry about where he's going to go politically, voting no. But I guess it surprised me to see Ken Buck in CD4, so much agriculture driven in his district to vote no on the farm bill based on the SNAP program. They didn't need his vote. It passed by a huge margin, so there was no risk of it ever not passing. I guess it just seemed odd to me, but perhaps I just don't understand politics. What do you think?
Well, I think the last part of your question nailed it, which is they didn't need his vote, so he could go appeal to the base, which he's doing rather regularly. I heard him on Colorado Public Radio this morning, and it was he was in a feisty mood. He wasn't taking anything from the Colorado Public Radio reporter. Ken Buck strikes me as somebody who's becoming more and more of a base politician, which will get you elected and reelected to that 4th congressional district forever, but is going to limit any other mobility you have in this increasingly blue state. I'm glad we're talking about this issue simply because it affects so many Coloradans, and agriculture is not usually an issue we talk about around this table, and we probably should do it more. Can't claim to be expert in it. David covered the whole SNAP program issue. What I was surprised David didn't touch, given that a regular theme, if you're playing Copal Bingo here, is subsidies and corporate welfare or whatever, is to the extent to which farm bills in general are subsidies, are welfare, and now maybe hemp farmers can be part of that as well.
I guess it's fitting that they describe it as a government trough that you would come to, being in a farm bill. Natasha, this should be a big deal for hemp farmers in Colorado, but we are no longer the only state where you can grow hemp. Now there's a lot of states you can grow hemp. Does this open the floodgates to a lot of competition for Colorado's hemp industry?
Oh, absolutely. There'll be plenty of competition, but certainly we have the head start. We have pilot programs and different products and companies that have been working on this issue for many years in Colorado. So they will have the opportunity to sort of jump ahead and find compliance with the federal rules and then move forward with that. I mean, I think economically it's a really interesting opportunity for Colorado. I think it's also an interesting moment because, yes, we're talking about agriculture at this table. We're talking about the Farm Bill. And for me, what's interesting in Colorado is that it's an opportunity to bridge a little bit of the urban-rural gap that we hear so much of, particularly in the last election. There's big businesses that are going to be interested in this, and then there's the farmland that's needed to do it. So I'll be interested to see if there's some ground that's sort of made up between those two issues as we move forward.
Patty, what do you think about that? We have talked about the pod industry, but we have not given a good fair shake to when it comes to the hemp industry, the agricultural side of these things. Is this going to be a huge deal for Colorado?
I think it will be. Colorado already has more acreage under producing hemp than any other state in the country. So when you talk about a head start, we've got a big head start. We've got a lot of companies here that are interested in products. The big issue will be, can you keep the level of THC to what is federally legal now? Will there be opportunities to expand it? What kind of products will come out? But it is a really great economic boon for rural communities because they've got land that a lot of other states don't, and they already have a head start.